Kind of put your thumbs on the sidebar, pointer on the other side. As you lift it up, sweep with one finger, make sure there's no bees. Grab it like this. What's up? I'm David Burns. We're continuing our series on is it worthless or worth it? And today, look at this. You know what these are? These are called frame grabbers, or some people call them frame grippers. And they're actually made so that when you're doing your bee inspection, you can actually grab a frame, go down in your hive, grab the top bar of a frame, squeeze it together, and pull the frame out. You can see there's several different kind of styles. There's more styles than these. There are some very high-tech ones that have bigger plastic handles with locking mechanisms and all of that. But I have these two available here, so I wanted to show them to you and kind of see what your thoughts are. And I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are. And let's just get right into it and start talking about them. Now, I will say that these right here are very tough for me to operate. And the reason why is because of this small bar. You can see how small this is. And when you go to grip it, it really digs into your hand because there's not much material there. Whereas the wood ones have much more material that can not really kind of be so painful for your hands to squeeze. Again, the problem with these often is that they're just kind of hard on your hands to grip and to squeeze. Even with gloves on, this one, to me, is painful. I have really strong hands and I have calloused hands, but again, boy, that is just too small a material to grip. Now, I want to tell you a little story, if you like stories. When I first started beekeeping, years ago, back in the 90s, early 90s, I actually was scared to open up a hive when I first became a beekeeper. I was brand new. I was like many of you that might be new, and I thought that if I opened up a hive, they would kill me. They would just haul me off. They would all just sting me, have me for supper. You know, I was scared to death. And so I didn't really want to touch the bees or expose much of my hands or my body to where the bees could sting me. So I actually purchased some frame grabbers. They were a little bit bigger, kind of a aluminum cast grippers. The way that it worked out well for me is, since I was so scared to touch bees or expose my hands, I'm wearing gloves and I don't know how to pick up a frame or even how to handle a frame. I'm so new to beekeeping. When I started, I didn't know up from down. I knew nothing. I mean, back then we didn't have the internet. Back in the 1990s or whatever year it was, we didn't have the internet yet. And there wasn't the impact of beekeeping clubs like there is now. Certainly there weren't classes, beekeeping classes like there is now. There wasn't even the interest so much in beekeeping as we have today. And so I was kind of on my own. I lived in the middle of an Amish community, and I didn't really have much to go by to get started, except somebody threw a book at me. It was called ABC XYZ of Beekeeping, I think, like a 1932 version of that book. So I'm reading through it, you know. It's like a book that's, what, 70, 60, 70 years old or something. I'm trying to read through it and figure something out. But anyway, I felt safer using frame grabbers because I wasn't as secure as I am now in handling bees. And it kind of helped me. And somebody finally told me that, oh, you know, you're okay. You can handle the frames. And I don't know, I read or I didn't have YouTube to watch, but I kind of got more courageous in handling frames. And so it didn't take me long at all to give up using these. The reason that these were difficult for me is because it really kept me far away from the bees. I think if you're going to be a beekeeper and really learn to handle your bees and to work your frames and do the things you need to do in a beehive, you're going to have to not use these. That's all it is to it. Now, the reason that I gave up using these is because I picked a frame up with my grabbers, and as I was picking it up and manipulating it, you know, it's kind of difficult because you have to look at the other side. And so it's hard to look at the other side. There's a lot of twisting and flipping action. And lo and behold, while I was doing all of that activity, I must have loosened my grip and the frame fell out of my gripper, my grabber. And it hit the top of the hive and bees went everywhere. I mean, I'm already scared to death of bees. And I'm trying not to rile them up, right? And now I dropped an entire brood frame of bees right on top of the hive, and the bees go everywhere. Now, to a new beekeeper, that's a catastrophe. That's a disaster. Because a new beekeeper, you see all the bees flying, you hear all the noise they're making, and you think they're going to kill you. And all they're really doing is flying to get back on a frame or get back in their hive. They're not really mad at you, so usually. So I kind of freaked out, and I thought, I just can't use these grabbers anymore because they're not really safe. I couldn't really keep a solid lock on the frames. And to me, they're a little bit more trouble than actually handling frames. So what I'm going to do today, don't you like this video? We just jumped right into it. We bypassed the introduction. We bypassed me saying, please subscribe. I didn't even ask you to subscribe. I didn't ask you to click on the button below. I didn't tell you that I wanted more subscribers. I didn't say, please subscribe. I bypassed all of that. And I went right into the video. And we're still right into the video. There's no introduction. We're in the middle of it, so stay with me. But what I'm going to do, we're going to go out to a hive, and we're going to use these. I'm going to play around in a hive with these grabbers before I make a final decision whether these are worth it or worthless. Because I want you to see... I want you to see these in action. I want you to see me using these. And get this, watch this video all the way through because I'm going to show you how you use these, but then I'm going to demonstrate right up close. I'm going to get my cameras right up close. I'm going to show you how you manipulate frames, how you separate the frames properly near the ears of the frames, how you pry them up, and how you can work them barehanded if you want to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to demonstrate all of that for you. This is going to be one of those videos that you want to kind of mark, set aside, save it, watch it later, look at it more intensely, because I want you to see, oh, I see how he's handling frames and how he's smoking the bees and how he's being gentle. And I want you to apply those techniques to your inspection techniques because I believe this is going to help you handle frames better. The question is, when you're using a frame grabber, do you need to go ahead and loosen up the frames first, or can you just go ahead and grab it and pull it up? That's a good question. So let's do both. First, let's try to grab a frame and see if we can pull it straight up without loosening it up with the hive tool. Let's pick this newer frame that we have over here. It's going to be less drawn out. So in this case, the frame grabber goes right here, and it's supposed to go and catch just under the wood. Now let's see if I can wiggle it out. Oh, this is like pulling teeth, literally. Okay, it is working. I did have to wiggle a lot. The honey is too pulled out. I can't pull that frame out because it's starting to tear into the other frame beside of it. So now we're going to have to go to the side wall. That way we can loosen up the pressure on the frames and then try to frame grab them. Because, oh, I'm telling you, that would have been bad had I just pulled that straight up. So I'm going to use my J-hook hive tool and actually start loosening up these this frame near the wall. The frame near the wall usually has the least amount of resources on it. We might be surprised. Get an idea of how I'm working this frame too. Now I am working barehanded. I'm just going to try to lift this up far enough where I can lift it out, and that way I can move some frames over. This super is so full of honey, and it wasn't that long ago you saw me add it. This is one next to the wall, and it's almost all capped over honey. Look at that. Look at this side here. Wow. All right, so now we have the pressure taken off. See, the problem is I can't grab a frame and pull it up. It's going to tear into the other side next to it. So I still, even with the frame grabbers, like let's say I want to lift this next one up, there's no way I can go in here like this and grab it and pull it, because I think I would just ruin the comb on the, as it faces the other comb. But let's go ahead and try it. Gosh, I don't want to kill bees either. If I pull it back toward me, maybe that would be the answer. I'm wiggling it like a dentist wiggles your tooth when you have a bad tooth, you need a tooth pulled. This is not bad, that's not bad. Okay, I'm going to lift straight up. See, I'm not, but now I'm having to keep a lot of pressure. See the pressure on my thumb, how white my knuckles are? Look at this side. I'm really squeezing it. If I loosen my grip, I'm going to drop this frame. Okay, so what I want to show you now is how I would do it barehanded versus the frame grabber. Now, in this case, I'm going to smoke my bees really well on the frame that I'm going to lift out. I'm going to look right here to see if there's any bees that I need to move out of the area that I'm going to be handling that frame, and I don't really see any. Now, if you watch carefully, what I'll do is I'll put my J-hook here and just rock it to where it lifts it up. That breaks the propolis seal on this side here. I'll do the same thing on this side here. I'll just put that in there like this, and I'll break the propolis seal. That slides my frame toward me a little bit. Now watch this movement. Watch how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to take my fingers, I'm going to put my thumb on the sidebar here, and my pointer finger on the opposite side over here, but holding on more to that lip, if you can see that. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and when I pull it up, I've got a really good grip on that frame. You see that? I'm going to kind of rotate my fingers underneath here and sweep them. Make sure there's no bees there. And now I'm going to put my thumbs on top. You see I've got two fingers on both ears under both sides of the top bar, and my thumbs control it. That's what you want to, that's how you want to hold a frame like that. Let me do one more so you'll get an idea of how I'm doing it. Use your J-hook hive tool. I'll leave a link below if you don't have a J-hook where you can get one. Rotate it in. You see how I've used my grinder to make this thinner, but I put that under here. It moves it back toward me and frees it up from the other frame. I'll do the same on the other side. Rotate it up and back. Now here's the art of handling frames. Kind of put your thumbs on the sidebar, pointer on the other side. As you lift it up, sweep with one finger, make sure there's no bees. Grab it like this. Now you've got a good handle on it. Oh, look at that. Look how nice this is capped over. This frame is ready for harvest. This super is full for the most part, and looks like it's almost ready to be harvested. Probably another few days, it's ready. All right, let me put this hive back together, and let's go back to the table, and I'll let you know whether I think the grabber is worthless or worth it. Okay, we're back from the hives. Had a good time out there demonstrating how these frame grabbers work. And today I'm going to give you my opinion whether frame grabbers are worthless or worth it. Now, let me talk about the pros and cons. The pros are, if you're scared to death to handle bees, like I was when I first started, then you can use these as a way to get you familiar with getting into the hives, pulling up a frame, and seeing what it feels like, because you may be afraid to touch the frames with bees on it, even with gloves on. So as an introductory, brand new beginner, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death to do anything. If these are an extension of my hands, it might give you a little bit more courage. And once you get courage built up, you might feel better about not using these in the future. I can see that being probably one of the only pros to a frame grabber. Now, after I've thought about it, now this is just my opinion, but I find frame grabbers to be worthless. And the reason why is because I really can't handle frames the way I need to handle them securely. Now this is secure as long as you keep a really tight pressure grip like I demonstrated in my video. Your knuckles are white, you're scared to death, you're going to let go. And you let go accidentally like I did when I was using it once and bees go everywhere. And it is harder to look at frames sometimes like this because it's harder to manipulate and keep pressure on them. So to me, they're not worth it. I would rather you handle your frames the way I showed you in my video and how you can easily move the bees off with a smoker, and then you can put your fingers where they need to go underneath the top bar, lips or sides or ears, whatever you want to call them, and then you can manipulate your frames by getting a good grip on them, and they're easier to handle. Also, I don't know if you have to work bees barehanded or not. I believe that when I took my EAS Master Beekeeper certification that we weren't allowed to wear gloves, but I may be wrong about that. I can't remember for sure, but I don't think I wore gloves. You can wear gloves now, I know. But anyway, I feel better working my bees barehanded. Just like with anything that you do, if you have to wear gloves, you don't have the tactile feel of how it's going because gloves are kind of clumsy. When I'm working on a car, if I wear mechanic gloves, I don't like that either because it's hard for me to feel things, but I still bust a knuckle doing that. But gloves kind of prevent you from having a good feel of the frames, or if you're smashing a bee or something. I've watched some beekeepers work bees with gloves on, and they have total disrespect for bees, no respect at all. They're killing bees, smashing them. That alarm pheromone is being released every time you smash a bee from the venom sac, and that gets airborne and alerts all the other bees to kind of come over there and start being defensive. So if you're able to work bees barehanded, you can avoid killing any bees and expressing or emitting that alarm pheromone. Now, having said that, it's going to be dangerous working bees barehanded if you are allergic to honeybees, if you have anaphylactic shock. It's going to be bad if you're working a very defensive colony, an Africanized hive. In those cases like that, or if you're taking bees out of a house, you've got to go full suit, gloves, full armor. Okay, that shouldn't have to be said, but some of you are so new and you hang on every word that comes out of my mouth, so I want to be clear about that. I have experience working bees. I knew that hive was a very calm hive. I chose that one to demonstrate how to work barehanded. So there you go. Disclaimer. But I don't really think these are going to be much of a value to you. Now they make these, like I said, in different styles. Some are better than the ones I'm showing you. And it may be something you're going to enjoy at first just to help you get into the hive and look at things. If you're not going to open your hive and look unless you use one of these, then you have to use one of these because you have to get inside your hive and inspect it and look. So on the worth meter, for me, in my opinion, frame grabbers of any style are worthless. They're not worth your money. You can very easily handle frames with your hands, either bare hands or with gloves on, and you can get much more secure grip of those frames and manipulate your frames better with your fingers than you can with these. But do pay close attention to the video. Watch it again where I'm handling those frames with my fingers, and you can get an idea of how to handle frames, how you pick them up, move them around with your hive tool. And again, I'm going to have the J-hook hive tool link down below in the description, the burlap that I use for my smoker, which is still going back there, by the way. So, you know, I'm going to show you, I've got links so you can click on those links and use the things that I use to get the most out of your bee inspection as well. Also, if you're interested in some of the cameras and microphones that I use while I'm filming, I'll leave links to all that down below so you can get an idea about my video equipment as well, because I know some of you love to videotape your bees, or you like to take pictures of them and or make your own YouTube channel or something. I'll leave links on some of the equipment that I use to make all this happen. I hope you're enjoying this series on is it worthless or worth it. We've got a lot more things to look at this week, including the refractometer coming up. That'd be a good one. Lots more things to look at, so keep watching for my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.